Yo, what is going on, everybody? This is Beanie, and welcome back to another episode of Player Reviews, and we have got a lot of guys to review today. They came out with a bunch of new All-Star players, plus I've got to go back and review a few guys that I missed from the last player review. I did that player review on stream, and I've changed the formula a little bit to how I get to these player reviews, just to make it a little bit more objective, but there's still a lot of subjectivity in it. Basically what I did is I just broke it down. For fielders, I broke down the grade into three different categories: a hitting grade, a fielding grade, and a speed grade, and I weighted it depending on what position that they play. So a first baseman hitting is going to be weighed way more than it would be for a shortstop or a catcher or something like that. And then, speed for a shortstop is probably going to be more important than a catcher, and just so forth. And I weighted it, and then I just add those together, and I come out with the final grade. And then for pitchers, it's the same thing, except it's per nines, pitch selection, and their stuff, their velocity, and their break. So I just wanted to explain that real quick. And so you might find that the grades are like a little bit different, and maybe I grade a guy higher or lower now than a guy that I previously did, but that just means that how I got there was different. It doesn't necessarily mean that that player is better. But with all that being said, let's get into the player review. Okay, guys, first off, we're going to start out with a 97 Ben Zobrist, a guy that I missed from last time. And I will say that even though I came out with this formula right before this Ben Zobrist was released, I did give this Ben Zobrist a 0.5 boost, like just a 0.5 point advantage going in, because he does play every position on the field except for pitcher and catcher, and I think that that's very valuable. That adds value to him. So I added 0.5. He's the only guy I did this with, but I added 0.5 points to him and then I did the regular formula to come out with his overall grade. But basically, hitting wise, he is very, very good for a second baseman. Not outstanding. There are guys who are better. The switch hitting thing adds a lot of value to it. He's not that far off of the new Evan Longoria as far as his hard attributes go, and his switch hitting ability kind of makes it to where he could maybe even play better than that Evan Longoria as far as offensive production goes. So I think that he is definitely a solid hitting second baseman, and he'd be solid really anywhere you put him. And then fielding, he's fine fielding. He's reliable. He's not going to be great, though. He's not going to be like, making any crazy plays or anything like that. He's just not going to make a ton of mistakes for you. And that has value. And the fact that you can put him anywhere, that also kind of boosts his fielding a little bit, too. So I did take that into account a little bit, not necessarily for to add any points to it, because I've already added those points in, but, just to kind of figure out how he would play at different positions. And the speed side of it, he's not that fast, but he's not going to kill you. It's not 32 speed where it's tough to, get a double whenever you crush the ball. It's not like that. He's going to be able to get those. He's just not going to be able to steal many bases for you. So when I added all those things up, I came out with a FAG of a 7.1, but then I added the 0.5 boost to him, and it ended up giving him a 7.6, a very solid grade for a utility guy like this. Now, I will say, a lot of people have asked me, should they spend their tickets on this guy? I don't know, because if I were to spend, just because my team is so good, if I were to spend tickets on this guy, it would be as a bench player. And I don't think that he costs like 4,000 tickets. I don't think that that is worth it. I think that's too much for a guy who is going to be primarily playing on your bench. But if you think that you're going to start this guy, I do think it's worth it. So it just kind of depends on how you plan on using him. Next up, we got the 98 Beltre, and this was kind of unfortunate. I didn't like doing this grade because he got hurt, in my opinion, a little bit too much by the speed thing. I had to grade him kind of harshly on the speed thing. But so, his grade is probably a little lower than I would like it. I'll tell you what his grade is in a minute. But everything else is fantastic, guys. He's a third baseman that can crush the ball. He's fantastic. 92, 96, 88, 89, 86. I mean, elite. I mean, among the best hitters in the game. I know a lot of people have problems with his stance. That goes back to several years. I mean, people have always kind of struggled with his batting stance. I haven't. Even though I do like guys who stand up more, his batting stance has always been pretty good for me. I've never struggled that much with it. And then defensively, this guy is amazing defensively. The only thing that, is kind of concerning is the low reaction. At third base, you do want to have better reaction and stuff like that. But it's never made this card play down for me. He's always been elite defensively. Even better than his attributes even really say. So I graded him very highly defensively. And then the speed, I did have to knock him on the speed because it is going to be tough to stretch those gappers into doubles. It is going to hurt. This guy, this is definitely a guy that you want to hit more home runs than gappers with. But, I think it may have knocked him too hard. His final fag grade was an 8.3. But another reason why I'm not going back and kind of reviewing and trying to make his grade higher is the fact that third base is just so oversaturated. There are so many good third basemen. And, with that being said, there's just... I think that there are guys who you could get more utility out of, and like guys like Chipper Jones, George Brett, really a lot of elite shortstops that you could play at third base. It's just tough because this card is so great that I want to give him a higher grade, but with this new formula, I'm trying to be a little bit more objective, and I couldn't. Next up is the 95 overall Carlton Fisk, another catcher. They're starting to come out with more catchers now, which is something I definitely like. This guy, though, isn't too exciting. I'm sorry, I had a bit of a hiccup there. But he is, he's solid. I guess he's probably a guy that you would want to platoon because the 69-50 versus lefties is not too appetizing. And with the reverse splits like that, is that something that you want to do? Have two catchers that you have to platoon? But if it is, if you can find a guy who can hit lefties really well, maybe a guy like Russell Martin, maybe think along those lines. This guy can be very valuable. He hits righties very, very good for a catcher. 87, 88, 83 is very, very good. And then defensively, he's just okay, kind of along the lines of a lot of other guys. He's not going to hurt you back there, but he's not going to be elite. The 64 reaction, maybe on some dribblers that may hurt you a little bit, but he does have that 84 blocking. So I still don't really know how much blocking affects things in this game. I'm still kind of the opinion that it doesn't affect too much. He doesn't have an incredible arm, and he's just okay. That's basically what it boils down to. And then the speed thing, he's on the faster side for a catcher, but he's still not, a burner or anything like that. So with all that said, I gave him a fag of a 7.1. Okay, now we're moving on to the 96 Ervin Longoria. And Ervin Longoria, ever since I started doing flashbacks, every time they come out with a diamond Ervin Longoria, it always seems like he's a really polarizing player, and I get why. He has great defense, phenomenal defense. I don't know, that to me that's really why you get this card with a position that's as oversaturated at third base. Like, if you care about defense that much there, then get this card. This is going to be a great card for you. And he's going to be okay hitting, but there are just so many catchers that hit better than this card that it's tough to really recommend getting this guy, because against righties, he's average. At this point in the year, I think I can call 72, 76 average, because most people have guys who can hit better than that. Against lefties, he's very, very good. 92, 86, very, very solid. A guy that, maybe you have a lefty that crushes, maybe like Jake Lamb or something like that, and you want to, I don't know, a lot of people are opposed to doing that with like silvers and diamonds, but you get what I'm saying. Maybe you can do that, but overall, his hitting just isn't that great. So with all that, put into one, I gave him a fag of a 7.2, just barely above that Carlton Fisk, basically because his position is just it's so easy to find really good hitters there that I don't think this card is really worth it. Okay, moving on, we're going to talk about the 88 overall Ervin Santana. This is a card that, I think this is the only gold that I'm reviewing today. I know, well, no, there's one more. There were a few other golds that they released, but I only wanted to review the ones that I thought were really notable. And this is definitely one of them. This guy is very, very good for a gold pitcher. It's really hard to be good as a gold pitcher in this game, but this guy does it. He hits that 155 mark, coming in at a 156 with his per 9 threshold. His pitch selection, it's a basic pitch selection, as basic as you can get. 4-seam slider, changeup, curveball. You know, it's kind of boring, but it's reliable. You have all the pitches that you need to be successful. And then his stuff is really good. His break is amazing. And then he throws hard enough to get the job done. Typically, if you only have one fastball and 75 velocity, typically that's going to translate into, you know, sitting around 94. Maybe he can run it up into the 96 territory. This is a good card. And I gave him a fag of a 7.5, and I think that that's about right. I think this guy will play like a diamond for you. Okay, moving on, we got the 92 overall Sean Doolittle, and this card, I like this card. A lot of people don't because he doesn't have a slider, and he's not just like amazingly dominant, like throwing 100 or anything like that. I think this guy is great. I think he pitches equally good to righties and lefties. He has really solid per 9s, 90, 91, 90. He has good control too, 88 walk per 9. That's not bad at all. And you know, his stuff is great. He throws pretty damn hard, and he has a really solid couple of breaking pitches. And the only thing that kind of knocks him is his pitch selection. If he had a slider to go along with that curveball and changeup, I'd like this card a lot more. But, you know, it's kind of hard to knock him too much for that. So I ended up giving him a fag of a 7.9. I think this guy could definitely be a reliable piece in your bullpen, especially with how thin the left-handed bullpen market is right now, because there aren't a lot of great ones. Okay, now we have the best card in this release, in my opinion. It's the 96 overall Nolan Ryan. And this is the third Diamond Nolan Ryan that they've released, and they're all really similar, but the thing that I love about this one is the most accessible. This one you can get by going 12-0 in events, or getting 12 wins in events. And if you can't get that, he's probably going to be relatively affordable, you know, by the end of this event on the marketplace, so you can buy him there. And he is better, in my opinion, than the Rangers version of Nolan Ryan, because he does have better stuff. He throws harder. He has better breaking stuff. So overall, I think that this is probably the second best Nolan in the game, but the 92 overall Nolan is incredibly difficult to acquire because you have to buy Mike Trout to get him. So I love the fact that they released this card, and I think he's going to be phenomenal for you. First of all, his per 9s are elite. They're among the best for any starter in the game. His pitch selection is a little, it's the only place where you could knock him, and this has always been the knock on Nolan Ryan. If he had a slider, he would be borderline unhittable. But he doesn't. He has a curveball, but a really, really good changeup to go along with it. A floaty changeup that's really slow for a guy that throws as hard as Nolan Ryan does. And his stuff is obviously amazing. 90 velocity with 92 break. This guy is always keeping it up in the upper 90s. With great off-speed stuff. So he's a phenomenal pitcher, and it comes out to a fag of a 9.2. I really, really love this card. Okay, and finally one more gold before we move on to the card that everybody has kind of been pretty excited about. Well, I don't know about everybody. There are a lot of people who aren't that pumped about it, but we'll get there when we get there. First of all, let's talk about the 87 overall Devin Mesoraco. Another catcher, so that's good, and another catcher that can hit, which is also very, very good. You know, this guy, against lefties, he is very solid for a catcher, and against righties, you know, you have to be good with your PCI for this guy to be usable, but he has the power. He has 86 power. So with the low contact and the low vision, your PCI is definitely going to be kind of teensy. But if you're really, really good with your PCI and you're able to get it there, this guy could be great for you because he does have that pop. Defensively, he's not on the same level as Carlton Fisk. He is probably going to play down just a little bit, but he's not going to be just awful for you. Just like, you know, a lot of people think that Victor Martinez is just awful at catcher. This guy, he's not that. He's going to be okay. You can definitely play him back there and him, you know, not be noticeably bad. I know the 60 fielding is kind of concerning, but it's not just, you know, it's not an apocalypse bad, you know what I mean? But I did end up giving this guy an above average grade just because he can hit. I gave him a 6.0, and I think in like events and stuff like that, this guy could be a reliable option. Okay, and finally, we're going to talk about the 97 overall Matt Kemp, the 5-tool stud that they came out with. Very similar to the Matt Kemp from last year. I don't know if it's identical. I can't remember exactly what the one from last year was all about. I think his contact and power versus righties was slightly better last year, but it's still very, very good this year. But I think overall, he's going to play very similarly. To me, this card is very similar to Mike Trout. A low vision guy that has great contact, great power, you know, all that stuff. People tend to overrate Trout. Like anytime they give him like a one contact boost or something, they're like, oh, good game, every other outfielder. But in my opinion, there are still outfielders that are better than Mike Trout in this game. And this one, to me, is right at the same level. They have very similar speed numbers. The Mike Trout is a better fielder. So maybe the Mike Trout is a little bit better than this card, plus the Trout has all those quirks and everything, but largely, I think that this guy is going to play quite similar to that Mike Trout. And, you know, a great hitter, a good defender with some speed that can, you know, steal some bases for you. He can do some damage on the base paths. So I ended up giving this guy a FAG of an 8.6. I would probably give the Mike Trout, if I did review him, like an 8.9 or a 9.0. So maybe the Trout is a good deal better, but not a ton. It's basically the defense that kind of makes up for everything for Trout. But I still think that this card is going to be great for you. The outfield is kind of oversaturated, so you know you may want to look at that. And guys, I'm having to rush this video out. That's going to do it for the player review, and I am going to have to rush this video out. So there's going to be minimal editing. I'm not going to be able to like put in any text or anything like that. So I apologize for that. But with all that being said, guys, I may see you later on today. I may stream later tonight. I don't know. It just depends on how you know, how quick I can get everything else I need to get done. And I'm also going to try to create a backlog for this week, because this week is going to be crazy busy for me. Anyways, guys, I will see y'all later. Peace.